Most flyers think airport secrets are just about shorter lines, but the truth runs much deeper. TSA secrets reveal how agents actually profile, code, and track you from the moment you enter security. Miss these hidden systems, and you risk delays, confiscations, or worse. But today, I'll uncover the 10 TSA secrets that expose how TSA agents catch passengers, and exactly how you can slip past their radar like a pro. 1. The Silent Watcher Program. The moment you step into that security line, something happens that most travelers never realize: you're already under observation. While you're fumbling with your boarding pass or trying to figure out how many trays you'll need, a quiet network of behavioral detection officers is already at work, watching you before you even approach the scanner. This program, known as spot screening passengers by observation techniques, TSA agents aren't just looking for hidden weapons, they're analyzing micro-expressions, posture, and body language. Are you tense, sweating, avoiding eye contact? Even minor signals can put you under closer scrutiny. Here's the catch: many so-called suspicious behaviors overlap perfectly with ordinary travel stress. Sprinted through the terminal and now you're sweating? That might raise suspicion. Avoiding eye contact because you're glued to your phone? Another potential red flag. Even tapping your foot impatiently while waiting your turn can look like nervousness to a trained observer. Pro tip: walk with confidence, keep your posture relaxed, and make brief, natural eye contact when interacting with officers. If you're prone to travel anxiety, practice slow breathing or grounding exercises before reaching the checkpoint. The goal isn't to act, it's to project calm, even if your nerves are buzzing. And remember, behavioral profiling is only the first layer. What comes next might surprise you, because the next clue about your journey is hidden in plain sight, printed right on your boarding pass. 2. Secret boarding pass codes. Your boarding pass is more than just a ticket. Hidden among the barcodes and printed flight details are quiet signals, codes that TSA officers use to flag certain travelers for extra attention. Most passengers never notice them, but for security staff, they speak volumes. The most notorious one? SSSS. It stands for Secondary Security Screening Selection. If you see those 4 letters stamped or printed on your pass, prepare yourself for a longer process. Expect additional bag checks, swabs for explosives, and a round of extra questioning before you're cleared to board. Sometimes the code is assigned in advance by airline systems, but other times it's scribbled on manually during document checks if an officer decides you need closer scrutiny. So why do travelers get flagged? The reasons vary. Common triggers include last-minute one-way international tickets, cash purchases for flights, unusual or high-risk travel patterns, and yes, sometimes pure random selection. While it can feel intimidating, the key is in how you respond. What should you do if chosen? Stay calm, patient, and polite. A simple line like, "I understand the extra screening, I'm happy to cooperate fully," can ease tension and set the tone. If you take prescription medication or travel with medical devices, carry a small card explaining their purpose. That tiny step can save you from long explanations during an already stressful moment. Remember, these codes aren't personal, they're part of a system designed to flag anomalies. But while the codes are printed in plain sight, what agents say about you behind the scenes is often far less visible, and sometimes even more revealing. 3. The Staff Surveillance Network. TSA officers don't just rely on codes, scanners, and body language, they also communicate constantly behind the curtain. Internal messaging systems, radio chatter, and even private online groups reveal how travelers often become subjects of discussion. A few years ago, for example, a Facebook group with over 18,000 TSA employees was exposed. It revealed casual, sometimes unprofessional exchanges about passengers, comments on appearances, behaviors, or simply venting frustrations about difficult travelers. While the majority of communication remains professional, it's clear that slang and informal shorthand circulate behind the scenes. Some terms label passengers who appear suspicious, uncooperative, or unusually nervous. Others, surprisingly, focus on people agents find attractive or memorable for unrelated reasons. Your best defense? Always maintain a respectful, professional demeanor. Be polite, but not overly casual. If you ever feel an interaction crosses the line, don't hesitate to assert yourself with a simple phrase, "I'd like to speak with your supervisor, please." That request signals you're aware of your rights and puts you back in control. And remember, while words can affect how you're perceived, not all concerns are verbal. Some revolve around your belongings, and that's where the next risk quietly comes into play. 4. The bin theft window. Think about that moment at the conveyor belt. You're juggling shoes, your laptop, liquids, passport, and suddenly your valuables are rolling away into a scanner, just out of your reach. For most travelers, it feels like controlled chaos. Here's the danger: items you put on the belt first will also come out first. But while you're still busy removing belts, waiting to be scanned, or dealing with a secondary check, those belongings may already be sitting in the open. That small but crucial time gap creates what security experts call a theft window. Opportunistic travelers, or in rare cases, even corrupt employees, have learned to exploit this vulnerable moment. There have been documented cases at major airports, including Miami International, where thieves worked in teams. One agent or accomplice distracted a passenger while another quietly slipped valuables from the tray. The victim often didn't realize until much later, by which point recovery was nearly impossible. Pro tip: use a multi-pocket travel jacket. Store essentials like your wallet, phone, watch, and passport inside zippered compartments, then place the jacket in one tray. Keeping everything consolidated reduces exposure and makes it easier to grab your things quickly. Bonus tip for seniors: opt for jackets with arthritis-friendly zippers and easy-to-reach pockets. Not only do they improve comfort, but they also keep retrieval fast and secure. And remember, lost or stolen isn't the only way belongings disappear. Confiscated items don't always end up where you might expect, and sometimes their final destination is more concerning than the initial loss itself. 5. The multi-million-dollar confiscation market. Ever wondered what really happens to all those items TSA confiscates every single day? Spoiler: they don't just toss them in the trash. In fact, those forbidden belongings are funneled into a surprisingly profitable system. Confiscated goods are first collected at the airport, then sorted and shipped off to government surplus warehouses. From there, they're sold through public auctions, often on platforms like GovDeals, where thousands of items go for a fraction of their original price. We're talking everything from pocket knives, multi-tools, and corkscrews to designer lighters and high-end souvenirs. That sleek $200 lighter you forgot was in your carry-on? It could be in a stranger's pocket tomorrow. Here's the kicker: TSA officers have broad discretion. Even items that technically are allowed can still get confiscated if an agent decides they look potentially threatening. That artisanal jar of honey you bought as a gift? Gone. A harmless snow globe that doesn't meet liquid guidelines? Taken. Once it's seized, there's almost no chance of getting it back. Multiply that by the millions of travelers passing through security every week, and you start to see how these confiscations quietly fuel a multi-million-dollar resale market. It's a system most passengers never think about, but it thrives off everyday mistakes and misunderstandings. Pro tip: always double-check TSA's most up-to-date prohibited items list before you pack. And when in doubt, play it safe: ship questionable items separately or put them in your checked baggage. It's a lot cheaper than losing them forever. Because while TSA has sweeping power to take your belongings, their authority over you personally is more limited than most people realize. 6. TSA's surprising limits. Here's something TSA doesn't advertise: they're not law enforcement. That means their authority is actually narrower than most passengers assume. TSA agents cannot arrest you. They can detain you temporarily, search your bags, and confiscate items, but if they suspect a crime, they have to call in airport police or federal officers. Other surprising limits: they can't force you to unlock your phone or give up passwords. You're not required to put your passport in the bin, it can stay on you. They can't legally detain you beyond the screening area without police. Pro tip: learn the difference between compliance and requests. Compliance is mandatory, like putting liquids in a quart-size bag. Requests, however, can be politely declined. Example: I'd like to opt out of the body scanner. That's always your right, and it simply means you'll get a manual pat-down instead. Speaking of scanners, TSA has quite a history they'd rather you forget. 7. The scanner secrets they hid. When full-body scanners were first introduced, the images they produced were shockingly detailed. Passengers appeared virtually naked on monitors, every contour visible. For years, TSA officers viewed these scans with little transparency. It wasn't until 2013, after public outrage and privacy lawsuits, that the old machines were retired. Today, scanners show cartoon-like outlines instead of anatomical detail. Still, you have rights. You can always opt for a manual pat-down instead of going through the scanner. And if you have medical implants, joint replacements, or mobility devices, let officers know ahead of time to avoid confusion. Pro tip: don't feel embarrassed about requesting a pat-down. It's your right, and plenty of experienced travelers choose it. And that leads us to another area most passengers don't realize: they also have rights during the pat-down itself. 8. Hidden pat-down rights. Pat-downs can feel intrusive, but you have more control than most people think. TSA rarely explains these rights, but knowing them can save you from uncomfortable situations. Your rights include requesting a private screening area, asking for a same-gender officer, having a companion present as a witness, requesting fresh gloves before the procedure begins, stopping the screening at any time to call for a supervisor. If you have sensitive medical areas, say so beforehand. It makes the process smoother and avoids potential embarrassment. What to say? Could we do this in a private room with my companion present, please? But while pat-downs are visible, what happens to your checked luggage is often hidden and eye-opening. 9. Your bag gets searched more than you realize. Every checked bag goes through scanners, but around 5% of them are opened and inspected by hand. Agents will cut off non-TSA locks, slice through plastic wrapping, and dig through your belongings if something looks suspicious. Official protocol says agents must leave a notice inside your luggage if it's been opened. But enforcement isn't perfect. Travelers often report finding clear signs of tampering, cut locks, missing items, without any official slip inside. Pro tip: always use TSA-approved locks that agents can open with a master key. Or skip locks entirely and rely on smart packing to secure valuables. For medications, keep them in original labeled containers with prescriptions visible. It helps speed up checks and prevents misunderstandings. Still, despite all these systems, you're not powerless. In fact, travelers have more authority at checkpoints than most people realize. 10. Passenger power secrets. Here's the truth: you're not just a powerless pawn at the checkpoint. Passengers have significant rights and influence if they know how to use them. You can request clear explanations for any screening decision. Ask for supervisors if something feels off. Refuse non-mandatory requests politely. Record or photograph interactions in public areas. File incident reports if your property is damaged. The key is confidence combined with respect. Agents are used to travelers who are confused or intimidated. When you show that you know your rights calmly, it changes the dynamic instantly. Pro tip: always ask, is this a requirement or a request? That one question can clarify everything. Final thoughts. Air travel often feels like chaos wrapped in rules you don't understand. But now you know the reality. TSA is profiling you, marking your boarding pass, chatting about passengers, and sometimes even reselling your confiscated items. Yet at the same time, their power is limited, and you as a passenger have more authority than you've been led to believe. So, which of these secrets surprised you most? Was it the hidden codes on boarding passes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences. Until then, fly smarter, not harder.